Gentleman from Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and to include extraneous material on this measure.
Without objection.
Thank you. I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, as China continues its aggressive posture in the Indo-Pacific, strengthening partnerships to deter Chairman Xi are more important now than ever. I want to thank my good friend, Ranking Member Meeks, for standing with me in support of this bipartisan measure. The Australia, United Kingdom, United States partnership, known as AUKUS, is a long-term security pact to protect peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. The recent announcement on AUKUS implementation only addressed one piece of this partnership: cooperation on conventionally armed nuclear-powered submarines. But there's much more to this partnership. The second pillar of AUKUS is cooperation on advanced capabilities. The purpose is to collaborate on high-tech research and the application of systems such as hypersonics, undersea capabilities, quantum technologies, artificial intelligence, and much more. This legislation focuses on ensuring the State Department is authorizing technology transfers quickly to fully support implementation of this vital pillar. We are facing a generational challenge from the Chinese Communist Party. We must bring all tools to bear in our effort to counter Chairman Xi's attempts to disrupt the global balance of power. With AUKUS, our 3 nations can achieve the shared strategic goal of defending the Indo-Pacific region while maintaining our technological and military superiority. This bill presses the State Department to take action and account for our arms transfers with the UK and Australia so that we can address any hurdles and act seamlessly now and not wait for a time of crisis or even war. For these reasons, I'm proud of this bipartisan bill, which will begin to address numerous long-standing challenges in our arms exports to our closest allies, and potentially serve as a roadmap for working with other close allies and partners. I want to again thank Ranking Member Meeks, his team, and our members for working with my staff to ensure that this bill, in support of a new long-term security pact with our allies, becomes a reality. Mr. Speaker, this bill deserves our unanimous support. And with that, I reserve the balance of my time.
Thank you. The gentleman from Texas reserves. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself as much time as I may consume. And
gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. And I want to thank the chairman and his staff for working collectively in this bipartisan bill at this very important time. Clearly, it's making sure that we're working collectively together with one voice on this serious issue is of utmost importance to all of us in the United States of America. You know, the Biden administration, in coordination with Australia and the UK, recently formalized the trilateral security partnership known as AUKUS, which aims to strengthen shared defense priorities in the Indo-Pacific. This new security framework represents an important step forward to the United States in the Indo-Pacific and for strengthening our shared capabilities in the strategic competition defining our world today and for years to come. Within this broader AUKUS agreement, Pillar 2 advances military capabilities with the intent of developing and enhancing joint capabilities between Australia, the UK, and the United States to improve security and interoperability in the region. One aspect of this pillar is improving and synchronizing processes related to arms exports and sharing of sensitive defense technologies between participants. This includes encouraging and advising our partners on how to strengthen their regulatory frameworks to enable closer cooperation while maintaining appropriate safeguards. H.R. 1093 requires the State Department to report to Congress on its efforts toward implementation of the Advanced Capabilities Pillar of AUKUS including international traffic and arms regulations and improvements necessary in partner country regulations to enable secure and successful implementation. As the United States looks to build on this important shared security partnerships with Australia and the United Kingdom within the AUKUS framework, I am proud, again, to co-lead this bipartisan initiative with Chairman McCaul to ensure we move forward in a meaningful way. As we engage in strategic competition, sharing our defense technologies and capabilities in a safe, secure, and regulated manner with our partners is absolutely critical. Therefore, I encourage my colleagues, all of my colleagues, Democrats and Republicans, to support this bill, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from New York reserves the balance of his time. The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
I continue to reserve, Mr. Speaker, with the right to close.
Gentleman is recognized.
Gentleman
reserves. Gentleman from New York is recognized.
And I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Connecticut, my friend from HASC, Representative Joe Courtney.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to enthusiastically support H.R. 1093, a bill that will identify key parts of our nation's system of export controls that should be amended and expedited to achieve the goals of the new Australia, UK, U.S. trilateral security agreement, which, as the bill states, will, quote, contribute to peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. I want to salute and thank Chairman McCaul, Ranking Member Meeks, the members and staff of the House Foreign Affairs Committee for moving swiftly in the wake of last week's extraordinary joint appearance of President Biden, Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, and UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, publicly revealing our three nations' commitment to a specific, executable pathway to bolster much-needed deterrence in support of an international rules-based order, which today is increasingly under stress. Mr. Speaker, I had the honor to join these leaders on March 13th at Naval Base Point Loma in San Diego for this historic announcement. As was noted repeatedly, it marked the first time since 1958 that the U.S. and the U.K. pledged to share critical technologies with another country. In addition to sharing nuclear propulsion technology to recapitalize Australia's submarine fleet, the three governments also committed to sharing other security capabilities, including quantum computing, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and hypersonics. Pooling these advanced capabilities will enhance our three nations' capability to protect maritime freedom of navigation and aviation, which have been the pillars of peaceful coexistence in the commons of the seas and the skies since the end of World War II. To achieve the goals of the AUKUS plan, it will require all three countries to use laser-like focus to remove any barriers that might occur from our system of export controls that are not aligned with this new enhanced alliance. Admiral Harry Harris, former commander of Indo-Pacific Command and former ambassador to South Korea, said it best at a recent House Armed Services Committee hearing on the contested environment in the Indo-Pacific. Quote, "I can't emphasize enough how important it is to get through this export control issue with Australia. We could have every good intention in the world, but it will falter if we become bound up by our own regulations."
I give the gentleman another minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We get bound up by our own regulation and by our own regulatory policy. This bill heeds that call by directing the State Department to inventory any and all administrative and statutory barriers to AUKUS implementation and report that back to Congress within 60 days. This is exactly what Congress needs to do. Mr. Speaker, I want to end by foot-stomping the extraordinary bipartisan support that AUKUS enjoys in all three governments and was on full display last week in San Diego. Both the majority and opposition parties in the UK and Australia are rock solid in support of this agreement, and tonight's bill is a strong signal of bipartisan support in the U.S. Congress. Indeed, in the last Congress, we overwhelmingly passed the first ever congressional action related to AUKUS by authorizing Australian submariners to begin joint training at a moored training ship facility in Charleston, South Carolina, and those sailors are here today. Building on that effort, it is of utmost importance that we continue our efforts in Congress and identify opportunities to smoothly implement AUKUS. As the Australian Prime Minister described a week ago last Monday.
The gentleman's time has expired.
I yield another minute.
Gentleman is recognized.
He said it very well. Quote, "A new chapter in the relationship between Australia, the United States, and the United kingdom is about to begin, a friendship built on our shared values, our commitment to democracy, and our common vision for a peaceful and prosperous future. Mr. Speaker, that is a vision worth pursuing, and that is why I urge all of my colleagues to support this bill. I yield back the balance of my time.
Thank you. The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Speaker, I continue to reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I have no further requests for time, and I'm prepared to close if Mr. McCaul is.
The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, H.R. 1093 is an important bipartisan measure which requires the State Department to report to Congress on its efforts toward implementation of the Advanced Capabilities Pillar of AUKUS and improvements necessary in partner country regulations to enable secure and successful implementation. So as we look to build on and implement our shared security partnerships with Australia and the United Kingdom, encapsulated with AUKUS framework, I am proud to co-lead this bipartisan initiative with Chairman McCaul. In this strategic competition, the most important of our era, sharing our defense technologies and capabilities in a safe, secure, and regulated manner will only make us all stronger and more united. And I hope that all of my colleagues will join me in support of this very important bipartisan bill, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm prepared to close and yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With AUKUS, we seek peace through strength. The previous administration laid the groundwork to collaborate with our closest allies and partners in countering China's threat to peace. And our nation stood alongside the UK and Australia for the launch of the AUKUS trilateral partnership in September of 2021. Now, we are prepared to best implement this important program. Through AUKUS, we are declaring that we will not stand idly by for Chairman Xi and other autocratic leaders to dictate when and under what circumstances the strength of our resilience is to be tested. This bipartisan measure is a commitment to our partners. The American people stand with the UK and Australia in preserving freedom. And together, we will uphold the international rules-based order and protect and preserve the right of sovereign nations to defend themselves. In the Indo-Pacific, we have seen how one dictator, Chairman Xi, is defying the free world and threatening to open navigation and the free flow of trade. This week, Xi met with Putin in Moscow, and afterwards, possibly Iran. Chairman Xi chooses to closely partner with Russia, who launched an unprovoked war of aggression with Ukraine, where they're committing barbaric war crimes, as I just returned from Kyiv and from Bucha, where I saw the mass graves. Mr. Putin also has a long track record of war crimes in Mali, in Syria, and Central African Republic. Xi also chooses to associate with Iran, whose Revolutionary Guard Corps is a designated foreign terrorist organization. These alliances are a clear indication that Xi does not seek peace, but chooses to work with those who wish to destroy it. So today, Mr. Speaker, I'm proud to speak in a unified voice, as we do so often on the Foreign Affairs Committee, with my dear friend, Mr. Meeks, in support of this great AUKUS partnership. Again, this measure deserves our unanimous support. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time.